and you can see my video.
Yes, there is some red light coming on your face.
Actually, I'm stuck in traffic.
Oh,
Take me
okay.
another 10 minutes to reach.
No issues, no issues, no issues.
Run from a traffic.
Oh,
Take me
okay.
another 10 minutes to reach.
No issues, no issues. YouTube live
Run
is
from a traffic. Take me another 10 minutes to reach.
yes, live is there. Perfect.
Yes, sir.
All good. We go live now. Perfect. Welcome, Dr. Saha, and welcome, Amrit. Please check your video and audio. We also welcome Professor Gilani, who is Dean of Maulana Azad Medical College. Welcome, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome.
Priyansh, we are set. I think we can start. Thank you, Priyansh, and I welcome you all on behalf of Medical Innovation Center, which is set up at Maulana Azad Medical College for this webinar series, the first in its edition. We have a lot of our partners and friends and well-wishers with us, and we'll just take a round of their introductions, and then we'll start. So straight away, I will go to Professor Jalani, who is Director of GV Pant Hospital as well as Dean of Maulana Azad Medical College, and under whose leadership we are holding this event. Sir, we welcome you. Would you like to say anything, sir?
Thank you, Dr. Anurag. It is really good evening to all the panelists and the speaker and all the attendees of this webinar. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all in this webinar on artificial intelligence in the medicine organized by the Medical Innovation Center. As you know, the Medical Innovation Center of Maulana Azad Medical College was inaugurated only in last month, and it is in the collaboration with the IIT Delhi that the innovation hub for the Cobotics. As you know, the Cobotics is the collaboration for the robotics. So it is one of the center which are giving us the the technologies, and the main purpose of it is where is the convergence. It is the convergence of the healthcare professional with the innovative technologies. Here, all these people will not only tell their problem to get the solution of the technologist, but they will discuss and they will give an idea to the technologist to develop a newer and more friendly and very proactive and very enlightening session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. I think your blessings means a lot for this program. We also have from our main partners, which is IIT Delhi, we have Professor S.K. Saha, who is professor at the and is the chairman of IHFC, which is the Technical Innovation Hub at IIT Delhi. Professor Saha.
Yeah, good evening, Anurag, and good evening to Professor Gilani and all speakers, participants. As Professor Gilani just mentioned, just last month, Anurag and their team has inaugurated this Medical Innovation Council with our partnerships, and we are very glad to see that this series has started. And I'm pretty sure that this series will lead to a lot of knowledge exchange between the doctors and the scientists or the technocrats who are working in this domain. We from IHFC, are very committed to see that we could contribute in the domain of medical robotics or medical cobotics, whatever you call it. And I'm looking forward to see fruitful outcomes in addition to the lectures which will be happening in the form of MIC webinar series. Congratulations, the team Anurag, and all the best. And yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you, Prof. Saha. I think the collaboration between MAMC and IIT goes back many years now. So I'm sure it has become now formalized. So we'll create more results in near future. We also have Dr. Sabita Mishra, who is the chairperson of MIC at MAMC. Ma'am.
So good evening, everyone, and good evening, Professor Jilani and Dr. Shahaha and the core committee of MAMC Innovation Center. It's my proud privilege to welcome you all And this is the first of the series of the lectures which we are going to have. So last month we did the inauguration, and within a month we are starting this lecture series, which is actually, I would say, the wonderful effort of Dr. Anurag and Dr. Ashima and the co-committee of both IIT and MAMC. So I welcome all the participants. I'm sure that it's going to be an enriching experience from both the sides of medical fraternity and the engineering partners. I We have to start the session today. We have two eminent speakers, Manu Shetty, Professor Manu Shetty from Maulana Azad Medical College, and Dr. Amrit Pal Singh, an alumni of our college, who's going to be a speaker for today. So I welcome you all, and thank you very much for the overwhelming response that we have received. Thank you, and all the best for this series.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. I think ma'am talked about the response. We got near 1,000 registrations. We were not expecting this many. Like in maybe around a month, around a week, we got around 1,000 registrations, and and it is going live on YouTube. So I'm sure there are a lot of people will be watching this. Also, I think we have just like to mention others who have joined apart from Dr. Seema, Dr. Amrit, and Dr. Manu. I think Mr. Ashutosh has joined from IIT, and Dr. Ashima is there. Our very energetic team of interns, the new batch of interns have also joined. Ananya is there, Ritu, Drishti, Ojaswi, and Sonu. So I think with that, we'll just kickstart it, and I'll hand it over to Dr. Seema. Are you there?
Yes, Anurag, I'm here. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Please go ahead.
Okay. A very good evening, everyone. At the outset, I would like to congratulate the team at MIC to put together this series at such a short interval. As you know, the series is titled AI for Doctors, for Medical Professionals. And the aim here is to give the medical professionals a flavor of what is happening in the AI and data sciences domain, especially pertinent to healthcare. On our practice, our changing practice. This system and how we can make optimum use of this. So as a first session, we have two eminent speakers.
I think she's on mute.
Uh,
I think she's on mute.
Dr. Seema, you are on mute.
Am I audible now?
Yes,
Yes.
you're audible.
Sorry, got muted by mistake. So both the speakers will be speaking for around 20 to 25 minutes. And after that, we will be happy to take a few questions. Participants are requested to type the questions in the chat. We'll try answering some of the questions in the chat only. And the rest the speakers will be taking up at the end of the session. So with this, I'd like to introduce the first speaker, Dr. Amrit Pal Singh. Dr. Amrit Pal Singh is a physician scientist with a dual background in medicine and computer science. He holds a medical degree, a master's in machine learning from Georgia Tech, and is currently pursuing a PhD at Emory University. His research focuses on developing AI-powered biomarkers to predict patient outcomes in cancer and cardiovascular disease. His work has been published in numerous peer-reviewed journals and conference proceedings. Welcome, Dr. Amrit Pal. We look forward to hearing from you. Over to you.
Yeah. Hopefully my slides are visible.
Yes, Amrit. It's visible.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Amrit. Today my task is to introduce you to basics of AI, give you a flavor of what's possible, and hopefully motivate you to start believing that sky is the limit when it comes to AI in healthcare. These are, I think, three key angles that I will try to talk about. A little bit about AI, but then how to apply it in healthcare, and then the patient care side of the AI. So that's going to the breakdown. We start learning a little bit about AI, history of it, a little bit introduction to machine learning terms. What does training data mean? How do you train? What's fitting, underfitting? And then quickly jump into some examples of how people have done it in past and where's the future heading. So this is the simplistic version of depicting AI in healthcare. There's always going to be some input. We would have some modality, some clinical information for a patient uh, that goes into this AI. It can be of several types, but there's going to be some code or some AI infrastructure that ingests this input image and then makes a prediction. That's the simplest possible explanation for AI. And this input can be anything we want. It can be a pathology image like this, or it can be ophthalmology image. The outcome can be anything. The outcome can be predicting risk for cardiovascular disease, or it can be, let's say, treatment response from a CT scan. So what allows AI to be so powerful is that it allows us to now tie in this high order complex data like CT scan or any other image, or for that matter, it doesn't have to be an image. It can be a numerical data of, let's say, patient BMI, stay in hospital, number of treatments they're taking, then tying it to some output, which is perhaps a little bit harder to do, let's say, intuitively in human head. So a little bit about history of AI. There's been surge in the interest for AI in healthcare over the last few years, which is rightfully deserved. Uh, but machine learning has, over time developed into three different domains. One is, uh, unsupervised learning, supervised learning, and reinforcement learning. We will be briefly touching about supervised learning today. But just to know, there are like three different arms. Supervised learning is where we have a labeled data about what we want to learn. So, somebody annotated, uh, let's say, good examples and bad examples. Enormous amount of data we have. There are methods that allow us to do some exploratory. It's generally not as good as supervised learning, but it helps us to get somewhere and make most out of unlabeled data. Then there's something known as reinforcement learning, which is growing more and more popular. That is learning by playing. So it's like learning as a child. When a child grows up, the child uh, learns to walk by trying to do so and then falls, but over time improves how the child would walk, and by learning the reward of how to walk and the punishment of falling, it figures out how to learn it. So that's like a field known as reinforcement learning, and we will seeing more of work here as we proceed. um I'm gonna skip over to this slide perhaps. Yeah. So there's been growing amount of uh, modalities that we have in healthcare. We started by X-rays and other medical innovations that allows us to improve on the surgical end. Then over time we introduced, let's say, ultrasound. We introduced CT, and more recently we had MRIs and other genomic sequencing technologies. Now there's been explosion over last 20 years about amount of data that we have, and that has allowed us to flourish the AI in healthcare, because one of the biggest thing required to train any of these AIs is the data. So early works that started to develop these AI go back to about 50 years now. And these were very simple methods. Like there's one in 1970s where the reader could interact with the system. It was a very hard-coded example of, like what they will say, and you it reverts back in English terms. Uh, but it was a very limited, very specialized system designed for a very specific task. Over time, we built more sophisticated systems, which allowed us to perhaps discover some sort of medical discoveries. For example, one thing that came out of such knowledge system was, discovering that prednisone elevates cholesterol, and this led to a lot of downstream tasks, a lot of downstream research that eventually helped a few cases. Now, over the time, the field has matured into few non-division that we have divided into. A little bit about machine learning. So before this machine learning, how we would do it is, let's say where our task is to write some algorithm to do a classification between spam versus non-spam. So what some coding person would go and do is they would write a very specific set of rules, that if else statements that would very specifically check for very specific things, and that would generally allow us to solve the problem. But the problem with this approach was that we would need an expert. We would need an expert to specifically allow us to write those sets of tools, uh, which has two main issues. One is that we would require an expert with the sufficient amount of time to help us do this. And second, it limits us to only the possible things that experts know right now. So we can't ask things that experts don't know. So this was great for automation, but to fuel the discovery, this was the initial late limiting steps. And how machine learning came and solved this is that as long as you have some examples of, spam versus non-spam, you can feed it into a machine learning system, and it will try to learn how to differentiate between those two things, uh, depending upon the task, allowing us to do the task at the hand. Over time, like as we initially discussed, there are three fields maturing: supervised, where we would need a training data; unsupervised learning, where we can make some use of unlabeled training data; and reinforcement learning, where the model focuses on the reward-based interaction with the environment. Uh, I'm hoping we will be covering these later too in the later sessions, but today we will get a very initial sense of what supervised learning is. So supervised learning is sort of depicted in this pictorial. The physician would go label specific cases like, oh, this brain has such and such thing, and then machine tries to learn it over time, and you do like this few hundred times, and the machine learning tries to do a decent job at it. And then this is a similar pictorial where uh, the physician would go and perhaps this has the disease, this perhaps does. Whatever endpoint physician thinks is of interest to them, they can generate those labels. And once we get to a certain amount of labels, we can perhaps train a machine learning model to do that, automate that task. Now, that task can be a classification task, like dividing these two groups of patients into, let's say, label 0 and 1. This could be COVID, non-COVID, or it could be TB, non-TB, or this could be patients who respond to treatment or patients who don't respond to treatment. So the endpoint is a binary group, and that's what we call a classification task, where we can specifically label patients as something. There's another task known as regression task, where the endpoint is to predict a number. That number can be anything, let's say age or BMI, or it can be more complicated things like computing blood-based biomarkers from other the things, and it can also be patient risk of developing some continuous value that we can predict using certain image inputs. And how we would do that is, again, we would need training data. Like in this case, we generally denote this by, let's say, X. And X is going to be certain amount of input data that is represented in terms of something known as a 2D array. That's just a way of storing data inside computer. Um, and then we can train a machine learning model to predict something that's generally what we call Y. So we would generally need an X and a Y to train this model, and then we can predict the outcome and compute how good the model is doing by calculating things like accuracy, AUC. There are several metrics that allow us to quantify how good did the model learn the task that I assigned it to do. And this brings us to the next step, which is going to be training of data. So we have a lot of imaging features. Each one of this row is going to be, let's say, one patient. One patient's data, like X1, X2, X3 can be any variables that we would want to use to train the AI. And Y is going to be the end goal that we need. So once we have this set of data to train on, as well as the output, we are ready to train our AI model. And we would need multiple of these examples. In this case, we have M examples. And we can train the model to learn the specific task at hand. Once the training is done, now when I in future have new data, now I no longer need the output targets. Now, if I send the testing data to the model, I can make the predictions directly from the input. So that's the initial part of training where we need labels to train the model. Once that's done, we move on to prediction part. And there's something known as validation, where we would test how good the AI is doing. And there's a general concept known as uh, complexity versus model performance. So as the model gets, so maybe we can revisit this after a few slides. Okay. So there's another concept known as linear classifier. So linear classifier is separating two groups. So let's say x-axis is BMI and y-axis is age. Now, for this particular group, I can easily divide red from blue based upon a straight line, and that's sort of a linearly separable data. Data are generally easier to learn because, I mean, we can just draw a line, and to some extent, humans can also figure out this. But there can be more complex relationships where we cannot perhaps separate the data using simple structures. So we would need more complex algorithms that can learn this non-linear relationship, which cannot be separated by perhaps two lines. So that's like very simplistic generalization of a linear and non-linear classifier. So let's maybe look at it in how this would pan out. So let's say there are two patients, age and BMI. We can separate these two cases using a simple line. It works out perfectly. Our model did great. Now we had more patients. The same classifier still works. Now, as we add more and more patients, we start to see that, oh, this model was, this case is going to be an edge case and it's just online. So now we can modify our model and say, oh, we can jump into a non-linear classifier to separate these cases out with a non-linear line. And that's how we can, learn a machine learning model. But as we add more patients, it becomes more and more sophisticated to fit a model. And chances are that we learn a very complex, in order to do great, we end up uh, fitting or maybe memorizing the data too much that when we see new data, we would fail. So that concept is known as overfitting versus underfitting. So if we memorize the data too well, when we get a new data, chances are our memorization will not exactly pan out. And if we don't put enough effort in learning the representation, so we might be missing out on these very simple cases. So that's called like a overfitting, underfitting trade-off in machine learning. So the goal always, the point of sharing this is that the goal to train a machine learning model is not always to get the best performance on your data set, but to train it in a way that it generalizes well on unseen data. So uh, that's generally one of the reasons why we would want to validate once we train the model, we would want to validate it on an external data set so that we know how it's actually performing. I'm going to skip some of the things. So there is also something known as model AI. So that's basically a short way of saying multiple modalities. So there's nothing stopping us from looking at all of these modalities together to make a better prediction of the same outcome. I think that's intuitive as a physicians, to as we have more holistic view of the patient, we can make better predictions of what's actually going on. Okay, let's get into uh, goals of building AI. So traditionally, the AI has focused on few key aspects. Uh, I'm talking more from a medicine point of view. Maybe there's a surgical angle missing, but it's going to be diagnosis, prognosis, and therapy. Uh, Diagnosis meaning find the signs and symptoms, identify the disease. Then prognosis means how well will the patient recover, and therapy means what treatment should I give the patient. And that has been the initial focus of AI, and we will be looking at some of the examples. But over the time, as we have grown as a society, we have seen more and more expenditure on the uh, healthcare, and similarly, the life expectancy has also grown over the globe. Um, and as we can see in this figure, as the percentage of people living as the age grows has been increasing over the years. So now, uh, and there's also the discrepancy angles of male versus female, white population versus black population versus Asian population. So the new uh, angles that are being slowly added to AI in healthcare researchers, these three were fine, but how can I reduce the cost to healthcare so that it's more accessible to more and more people? And second is improving the access to specialist skills to all. So that means irrespective of uh, the location they are, they can get a uh, personalized experience of the AI that is relevant to their demographics and patient outcomes. Next thing is towards quality of life. So, growing amount of with the growing age, we see more and more people living longer, but that also means that there's going to be more and more uh, comorbidities. So quality of life is a new domain that's coming up where we would want now to not just live longer, but also live longer without much diseases. So skip this. So that comes to this point of keeping people healthy. That involves tracking diseases, infections, making better drugs, something Dr. Manu will talk about, earlier detection of diseases, and then choosing person-specific drugs. Okay, let's perhaps get into some application examples of how would this work out. So this is a complex diagram. It basically suggests that we can look at a chest X-ray image. We can do some AI magic around it, and we can then also provide it with the uh, text radiology report from the radiologist. So now we have the imaging as well as radiology report to train the AI. We train the AI, and once that is done, now in the future, we can uh, we can use this to several n number of tasks. We can use this to now generate medical report for cases where we find similar cases. So let's say a new disease comes up, let's say COVID. Now we can use a similar system to find cases where we see similar X-ray based manifestations as we would see in, let's say, what we are seeing in COVID. So there's n number of tasks where we can now bridge this image and text thing together to perhaps find something more interesting to physicians. Another example can be, let's say, pathology image. Pathology slides are huge. They generally cover a huge amount of pixels, 100,000 or more. Now, we can do certain tasks that are mundane to do, require technicians. So, for example, we can figure out automatically which regions of the image are blurred, if the tissue is folded or damaged, if there is debris in the tissue. So we can automatically figure that out and use the AI to clean up the tissue or discard the tissue if we think things are not to a perfect quality standard. So that's like a automating on the technician side. Then we can have specific models that can perhaps segment out the regions for, let's say, pathologists. So in this case, we would have a IHC image, which is immunohistochemistry. It's one of the stains that we use commonly in pathology. And what this can quickly allow us to do is separate out the different regions of the tissue, allowing saving and getting positive cells, negative cells in those regions, allowing pathologists now to quickly quantify the different biomarkers that they might want from the imaging. That brings us to the final step in this process, that would be doing some sort of feature extraction. So we can use an image. We can specifically focus on different cell types. Let's say in this case, we look at tumor cells and immune cells. Now we can quantify those relationship of those several cells. Let's say we look at, in this case, relationship between epithelial and stromal cells. So we can quantify how close they are, how tightly they overlap, things like that, which pathologists perhaps have figured out over the years, but now we are just automating it using AI so that we can save pathologists time. And a lot of work has gone into this domain. For example, here we can see we have a pathology slide. We segment out specific cells using AI. AI tells us, oh, is it a lymphocyte or a tumor cell? And now we see how the overlap of those two clusters exist. And if we can quantify that overlap, we can, separate out patients who are high risk versus low risk. So that's what one of this work from our group showed, that if we can figure out clustering patterns of tumor infiltrating lymphocytes, we can predict will the cancer recur or not recur in non-small cell lung cancer. So similarly, we can quantify other patterns that we see in imaging. For example, we could perhaps look at the architecture in a pathology slide and also look at the immune architecture, quantify how those collagen fibers are aligned. And once we work that into our AI system, we can predict how long will the patient survive. For example, in this case, what the researchers found was that the less till density, till meaning less immune density, as well as less disorder in collagen fiber was associated with poor survival, and more softness was a better survivor. So that's what they found in across multiple gynecological cancers, and that's one of the way we can use AI now to get to a patient endpoint, which is perhaps of relevance to a physician, pathologist, or a oncologist. Another thing we can do with this is predicting things that we can't see. So say we have an unstained image. It's a common practice to stain a HND image from we don't normally visualize unstained image. We stain it using HND. While that's not a tedious process, but we can automate it for using AI as well. So AI would take this unstained image and directly stain it and make it look like a HND image without actually staining the image. So, but two things that perhaps humans can't do by translating image from one type of to another type. And this is what people have applied to perhaps looking at more sophisticated things. In this case, let's say, for example, researchers look M1 versus M2 macrophages. So it's hard to differentiate between M1 and M2 macrophages based upon HND imaging alone. So what they did is they converted HND image into a IHC image. Now, once we have this conversion, it figure out amount of M1 and M2 macrophages on the IHC imaging. And then we can quantify the percentage, and they quantified this density of M2 macrophages and showed that this is actually helping us predict overall survival. So in this case, we actually did not need to do IHC staining, and directly based on HND image, we could perhaps predict how the IHC would look like. So that's predicting things that physicians can't see and allowing us to create a marker using the power of AI.
Dr.
We can
Amrit,
also,
we are running a bit short on time here.
yeah, I'm almost done, so I'm gonna wrap it up in a few minutes. So another thing that we can try to do is differential diagnosis. We can ask AI specific questions about our image, and it can try us to answer certain things. There's also something known as continual learning in AI, where we are seeing more and more AIs that can perhaps learn like humans do. So the more cases, the one of the of these AIs is that once it's built, it's deployed. It does not learn on its own. So there are more and more AI that once deployed, it keeps on seeing more examples, and it can keep learning new things as it gains experience, similar to humans. Okay, so just few more slides. There's been growing amount of work in genomics. Genomics is getting cheaper, so that has allowed us to do a lot more access to genomics, more amount of phenotypes that are possible now due to the readily available data. I'm gonna skip to the last slide. But last example that I would give is perhaps on the labeling part. A lot of this requires labels, data labeling, some experts sitting and giving us annotations on what needs to be done. But the labeling part is still expensive despite multiple efforts. There's something known as semi-supervised learning, where you could use an image to learn some unlabeled image to learn some tasks. For example, I take this ophthalmology image. I mask about 90% of the image, and now I ask the AI to predict the image, the original image from using this masked image. So now, once we do this over millions of data points, it allows the model to learn the representation of an ophthalmology image because it has tried to regenerate it multiple number of times. What people have shown over the years is that using this unlabeled data, millions of scans, you can perhaps then train an AI that can downstream look at a lot of these specific ophthalmology ailments and does a decent job at predicting them better than sometimes supervised methods. So that's a new field that's coming where we can perhaps use unlabeled data to learn something meaningful that the physician would want. And yeah, that's it. Thank you. Thank you for your attention. I can take some questions if now or at the end.
I think we'll take questions towards the end. Participants are again encouraged to post their questions in the Q&A section or in the chat. Thanks, Dr. Amrit. This was really insightful. We'll quickly move on to our next speaker, Dr. Manu Shetty. Dr. Manu is a professor in the Department of Pharmacology at Maulana Azad Medical College. He is deeply involved in healthcare AI and has hands-on experience developing AI models. His team won first prize in the India AI Lab to Market 2023 for creating an AI-based ECG interpretation model. He is passionate about building practical and clinically relevant AI tools. Welcome, Dr. Manu. We look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you for the introductions. So my session will be that very brief. We'll try to cover within 15 minutes. So mainly that focusing on about that why we need that as a doctors, we know that AI. So and also focusing on that various aspects of AI from disease cycle to drug development and also the medical research. At the last about that hospital management. Just I will focus each and everything a little bit. It is just sensitization. So each slide can be presented as a 1 hour topic. So just I will cover that. So that AI healthcare 40%. In India also 40% and overall 44%. So what it indicates that this sector is growing so rapidly. So there is a creating so much of opportunities. Okay, job opportunities, career opportunities, and also various tech companies need the doctors who know that AI, tech, healthcare as well as tech. So there's a good opportunity if you know that healthcare with AI. And also like so many hospitals already adapting AI tools. So as a result, you should know as a doctor, you should know that way to apply, what to apply. So that is very important to know. So example in AIMS and other hospitals also they are adapted so many tools. Like for example, FDA at present, it is approved the 1250 that FDA approved algorithm is there. In 2017, it is approved just 20. So rapidly, every year, the number of that rate is increasing. As a result, if because of that AI tools, everything is advancing. So next year, definitely in 2, 3, 4 years, the number of that approval increases. So that hospitals also adapt very fast. So as a result, good opportunities. Okay, even though US is adapting, China is adapting very fast. So even that India is at a slower pace, but we are not that. So already is adapting. Why you should know? Why you should know that AI? What is the advantages of knowing AI? So if you know that in AI, if you know that understand how that AI works, so it is very early advantage. Like so, if it is any device or AI tools into the hospitals, you will be in the decision making team. You will be okay leading the team, and also you can mentor at the same time. Uh, Yeah, at the same time, there is a that you can analyze the tools, various tools, where it is a making a sense or not making. So whether if it is a efficient, okay, it is repetitive task, it is able to task, then only it is better to use. So and also like whether the AI tool developed in US, whether it is applicable or not, so that need to be advocated. So and also you can tell the patients about whether considering the risk, okay, the privacy data and everything, that is very important to consider. Okay, and also like various startups comes, they know as an engineer, they are developing startups, but they don't have healthcare challenge. They don't know healthcare much. They don't know that exactly what the doctor is facing the challenge. So they can create the solution, but they don't know proper challenge that need to be addressed. So as a result, doctor, if you know that healthcare, so you can be advisor, you can be that mentor for the team. So many startups looking for the doctors who know the technology. Okay, so that's why you should know. So one question is that everybody asks, do I need to learn the coding to work with AI in medicine? So whether the whenever you learn about AI, so they will ask a programming language, various mathematics, and there is a Python and everything. So there is no need of that no, the doctors to learn about that Python programming language, but it has a add benefit to that is a bonus. That's it. So, as a doctor, you need not to think like a coder or data scientist, but you should understand what is AI, what AI can do, what AI can't do. So, if you understand this, so whatever the challenges you are facing daily routine in hospitals or maybe in the research, So you can take the challenge, you know that how AI can address the challenge, you can collaborate with that IIT Delhi or else any engineering college, any engineers, data scientists, you can tell that exactly the problem, then it will come out of a big, nice solution. That's why you should know that what is AI, okay, what AI can do. So randomly creating AI where it is no impact, there is no that adding benefit to that, there is no use of that AI tools. Okay, what is AI really means already is covered. So already just I will fast forward. If we in the hospital, when a new first year PG, if they are asked to show that X-ray whether it is a lung cancer or not lung cancer, he doesn't know. He is not trained so much to see that whether to differentiate between the lung cancer in the X-ray or not. So he say probably 80%, probably 50% based on his experience. Similarly, AI also, if it uses a small amount of data, it accuracy is very not small. So if you use after the third year while passing, he will say accuracy about that intern under the PG. He say that yeah, I am sure about that. Similarly, that AI also we need to train so much of data so that gives a better. So I'm forward. So just summarizing briefly that everything. So just AI in healthcare disease, where AI can be useful in disease cycle, and also AI in drug discovery. That's each and every sector as a role, AI role, if you consider. Okay. So this is a AI. If you consider any cycle, disease cycle from starting from healthy patients, then to preclinical, then to clinical, then to cure. So there is a each and every stage there is a AI role. So this slide I prepared around 6 months back, 1 year back, before using AI tools. So the same concept I gave to the AI tool. Okay, there is various AI tools available. I gave that I wanted beautified that slide, so it made this. So I in every stage, it may be healthy stage, like identifying the risk of getting a lung cancer, and it can be screened out early. It may be preclinical, like example, if it is a very narrow nodule that is not able to seen by the human eye, it able to identify the AI. If it is a clinical stage, it is early accuracy, that is accurate diagnosis of the any images can be done in clinical stage. Okay, lung cancer, I'm taking here an example of lung cancer. And then the treatment stage, so there is a precision medicine as also precision dosing. And our outcome measures, we can analyze what is the outcome, what will be the outcome, what will be the ADR before that patient going to through. So this every stage there is a AI role. So whatever the your specific field, whatever the you are interested in that, you can identify that one specific challenges, one specific the problem here. So then we can discuss about that AI, how AI can be applied to that. So if it is already not developed, so that we not developed, we can develop that. Okay. So which approach to use for lung cancer diagnosis? Whether it's a traditional method, AI method, deep learning method. So if you have a the each one is a different way. So based on the fact is a huge amount of data is given, okay, then even that it is a better AI. So it will add to that accuracy of that doctor's diagnosis, and also it will misdiagnosis can be prevented. Okay. So I will skip everything that I wanted to explain about what is AI deep learning. Okay, then precision diagnosing it will helpful. And also I want to give one example. There is a one study, it is published in JAMA. They say that some clinical case was given to the group of doctors, and a group of doctors using that ChatGPT, and group of doctors that only that ChatGPT. So which one you find that is a which one highest accuracy? To surprise, that is a ChatGPT has a 90% accuracy in diagnosis. Okay, and also that doctors using AI, okay, there is around 70%, and also doctors alone, okay, 80%. So what I mean to say is that so already that diagnosis of ChatGPT is increasing. I don't say that it is we can adapt that ChatGPT, but even the who is making mistakes, then who will be responsible? So as a result, so to make that better accuracy, the doctor should know how to adapt that AI tools. If they adapt AI tools better, so then definitely that even better accuracy than the alone ChatGPT can be achieved. So only what is a prompt exactly need to be used, that is also important. Like in diagnosis useful, in personalized medicine also it's very useful. Like one medicine fits all, it's not based on the genomic profiles that AI can tell that this particular drug is effective only this group of patients, this particular drug can be useful for this group. So precision drug that it is used, precision medicine. Okay, so like example, and also like the dose, one dose it's fit all, it's a concept is very old. Like example, tacrolimus, vancomycin, various narrow therapeutical drugs, they have the different range of dose need to be given for the patient to have a better efficacy. So using artificial and AI and ML and also Bayesian dosing models, it is possible to develop the precision dosing models, AI models, especially for the drug which have a narrow therapeutical range and anti-cancer drugs. So that is very important. Okay, so that can be done. And also like prediction of that AI in drug safety. So before giving the drug to the patient, we can diagnose that what is that we can predict that what ADR will patient going to through. So that can be done. It's already FDA has done one study. Okay, and also real time prediction based on the ECG. If it is a EHR is there, that automation of EHR in specifically, so that it will early prediction, early it will identify that the patient going to develop these side effects that can be prevented. And also pharmacovigilance is so much of tedious work, so entering the data and everything that so many Mahindra Tech and big companies are investing on that pharmacovigilance to automate the process. So in drug discovery as such is a huge that pharma company investing huge amount of to develop that newer drugs. So it has a promising, okay, even though it is so many challenges in that sector because of the data issue is the main thing. So but it is promising. So many drugs is already in the clinical trial. So there is a various stages of the clinical trials. It is clinical trials as well as drug development. It has a role. I will not go in detail. So in the subsequent webinar, we can deal in detail about that. And also one of the big achievement, big contribution to that in research field is AlphaFold, Google AlphaFold. So earlier, one PhD used to spend around 5 years to identify the protein structure, one protein structure. That is a thesis. This is a thesis topic for PhD for 5 years. Now, based on the AlphaFold, so within 1 second, 5 seconds that if we give that, we will able to identify the protein structure. Earlier, that is extracrystallography, that various technique. It's a huge task. Now it is very automated. It's fast one that will add to the drug development. Okay, that is one very this one. And also AI backup is there is so much of opportunities in the virtual nursing assistants and also post. Give that act like a doctor only, that is a cross checked by the doctor, so it is very useful. Okay, so nowadays AI agents is coming, so we'll not go in detail about that. And also last is that medical research and publications, there is various AI tools available, okay, for writing a protocol, designing and also analyzing a data and scientific research and everything. So each and everything that if you each and every step there is a AI tool. So I can't talk about each and every steps. If you ask that perplexity or chat GPT anything, so that will give the full details about like designing. If you want any one concept research questions, you ask anything, so that will give a good idea. Okay, so like there are a few research tools, so we can take that one class in detail about one talk about that various research tools can be used for research purpose. Like one of you are the rabbit research rabbit consensus, okay, ChatGPT, so the Trinka. So these are the plagiarism AI, semantic AI. These are the various tools. Okay, it is helpful for designing, and also you will get to know that where that which the research question is started, the idea, how it is evolved, so that you if you want to search in the narrow PubMed search, it's very tough to, it will take so much of time. So instead of that, using these various tools, okay, that can be done very fast, okay. So it will add off to that, and also grammarly correction, then sab kuch, that everything is helpful, okay. So because of time constraint, I will forward that, move forward. I will not going to explain about each and every tool. Like finally the conclusion is that AI is already there. You can't say that AI is still not there. Okay, earlier it was a research topic. Now it is a necessary. We need to adapt. Even though healthcare adapts very slower into adaptation of the AI, but we need to adapt to have a better patient's care and better efficiency. Okay, and also you can save. Earlier for some like project, I used to spend 3 months. That can be done in one day because of AI tools. Okay, and also AI model also, if you learn that, it will take used to take around 3 4 months, that can be done in 2 3 days. So much of efficiency, okay. And also collaboration is the key, but you need to identify the challenges, so that you need to collaborate with that of that engineers to make that better, the good outcome. So currently that AI-based approach are not substitute for the traditional experimental method. They cannot replace the expertise and experience of the human researchers. AI can only provide the prediction based on the data available, and the results must be validated, interpreted by human researcher. Okay. So that is the final thoughts. But in May future, based on the if huge amount of data is available, even that already so many companies are already developing that AI tools for that diagnosis purpose. So only like for example, those who are not using AI, like radiologists, just seeing the images with then they will be replaced with interventional radiologists. They need to do some intervention, then only they can sustain. So just like just reading the pathology images that AI can do. So that have to be intervention. Okay, their human hand is required. So that will be the future, I believe.
Thanks, Dr. Manu. I think we have few 2 or 3 minutes for some quick questions. I can see some questions in the chat. Some of the questions Dr. Amrit has already answered, and you can refer to the answered section of Q&A. Ananya, can you help with the rest of the questions that are still yet to be answered?
Yes, ma'am. Beginning with some of the most important questions that I could identify. First of all, Cheryl has asked, how can AI be used to make healthcare more accessible and affordable? Are there any examples in use today? Dr. Manu, if you can answer.
Yeah, it's AI is useful in every part of the disease life cycle. So it may be, for example, the sepsis. That is after the fully development of sepsis, it's very tough to that mortality is very high. So we can predict that early, okay, and also like diabetic retinopathy. So that is once it is well established, it's very tough to for the treatment. So early human eye can't able to see, during that time only AI able to identify that, during that time treatment we can prevent the complications. And also for drug development, so that is a various already 3 4 many drugs is in the clinical trials. They're used to take around 10 years to make that one drug. Now within 2 years they can be able to bring into the clinical trials. So there is so many examples. Finally, just like a general feedback, like a certificate, there is a one Google form you will get. Just to fill that form, then you will get a that certificate. And also there is a workshop opportunity. If you are interested in that form only, we asked about whether you are interested or not. This is organized by IIT Delhi, IHFC, and MAMC, so that we can that will be communicated those who are interested. There is a short 1 or 3 questions. Thank you everyone.
I think we can just take one more question. There was one question about the social implications. Dr. Moni, would you like to touch on that? How it can be used in community medicine or things like that?
Yeah, there is a predicting that antibiotic resistance. That is a huge. Already some private hospital they're using it. So in order to empirically antibiotics, they can predict and prevent the development of resistance, and also that even that screening level, the mass screening can be done with AI. So that is also huge beneficial. That is various tools available.
Okay, so there are still a few questions there. I think a lot of it is about how doctors can learn AI and coding and all. Any specific, while we are trying to answer some in the Q&A section, any specific queries, you can always mail it to us on the email ID is there on your screens. We'll need to close this session. Dr. Manu, any closing remarks from you?
Yeah, that's it. Already I told. So AI, it's there. There is so much of the job opportunities. If you are not in, if you want, it will force you to adapt that AI. Okay, in the future, in coming days, that our hospitals are adapting the AI tools. That will force. It's better to have knowledge about AI.
Dr. Amrit,
Thank you.
any ending remarks from you? Since you have already crossed over to the other side.
I think it's a great leap of faith, but it's definitely rewarding. I think there's several questions and concern about AI being replacing and job security. I think this is one of the most recession-proof area that we have, and I think as long as we focus on solving something that's relevant to the patients, I think again, sky is the limit. Thank you for giving the
Okay.
opportunity to me to present today. Grateful for that.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Manu and Dr. Amritpal. Thanks everyone for joining. With this, we are closing this session. Do join us for the next session. And thanks again for joining.
Thank you.